Ready, bang! Mate, the record button has been smashed. Ladies and gentlemen, have we got a show for you? Welcome to the number one arm wrestling podcast in the world. Welcome to Ready, Bang! The Aussie Arm Wrestler podcast. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and just look on the other side of the screen. Not only do we have a living legend of the sport today, but he's also a 14-time world champion. He's won 14 various world titles, 5 of them being with WAF. He is a movie star. He's been pulling for about 116 years, everybody. He's the only person to pin Albert Einstein. That's where the actual split the atom term come from. I call him Bubble. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Ron Barth. Ron, welcome to the show.
Oh man, what an introduction. Holy cow, I don't know if I've ever had one that explicit. But Neil does a great job. He did one too. But no, thanks. It's a pleasure being on here. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, absolutely. And it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. Everyone knows you. I will always take the opportunity to have a beer with my guests.
And there you go. I would have had one otherwise. And for the record, I told Albert Einstein everything he knows.
So he's a fraud. Beautiful breaking news, everyone. Albert Einstein's a fraud. Didn't do shit. It was all Ron Barth.
Yeah.
Mate, how's it going over there?
Oh, it's going, under all the conditions of this flipping world and this COVID stuff, it's going pretty good. I don't really notice it. I live out in the country and I'm still working, so. And I knew social distancing before it was even introduced. It's hurting some of my summer plans. I had some pretty awesome summer plans with another, and sort of putting an end to some of that stuff, and ending some of the arm wrestling adventures of the year for sure. But it's gonna pass, and then we'll all get kicking back into it. But I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm doing well.
Yeah, nice. It's a bit weird over here, but fuck that. Let's just now you're talking about plans, so we'll go into it. You said you've had the odd one or two VB, and we all noticed you're wearing the Australian Arm Wrestling t-shirt. So you did dodge a bullet a couple of years ago. You did come over to our Arnold's over here. I actually hadn't started in the sport there, so you missed these cannons on the table. So you're very lucky there. But how was the trip? How was the trip?
Oh, the trip was awesome. There was a lot of traveling in a short period of time. We had 5 practices. I pulled Supermatches at the Arnold's. And between that, I was toast. My arm was so toast by the time I got up by Ryan Lee and those boys. I couldn't arm wrestle if I tried, but I did. I gave it everything I could. Every time there was arm wrestling, I got up there because I'm not afraid to lose in a practice or horseplay.
Nah.
So we just had fun, and then I took a lot of time off after I got back home. But the trip was amazing. Australia is awesome. I really would love to come back in the next couple of years and do a little more visiting, but last I heard, Australia doesn't want no Americans right now. Australia
doesn't want anyone. I live in Melbourne, and we can't go 5 kilometers away from our house, so 3 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm better than that because I went to Hawthorne, Nevada. It's at a Reno for a tournament not too long ago. Which you'll remember, there's a pose of me squeezing somebody's face. And I went up to Wisconsin, my home state up in Wisconsin back the first part in June. And they nominated me into their Wisconsin Hall of Fame. So, because I was born and raised in Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So that was quite the honor. It was sort of low key because nobody could really show up, but it was all nice. So I've been around. I've been farther away than 5 kilometers from my house. That's for sure.
Can't do anything. Only one person can do the shopping, your grocery shopping and things like that over here. But like speaking of you, how many Hall of Fames are you in?
Oh, Hall of Fame. That's the only one that I know of right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Surely.
I mean, there's not really a whole lot of Hall of Fames for arm wrestling to begin with. There's more and more coming along all the time. So.
Well, you have just officially entered your second Hall of Fame. I'm starting the Aussie Arm Wrestler Hall of Fame and welcome my first inductee, Ron Bubble Bath, mate. Congratulations.
That's awesome. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I don't have a prepared speech, so we'll have to get by without it.
That's all right, mate. It's all about freestyle here. So, like, you've been able to pull tournaments, and before we started recording, I was saying you're an old-fashioned, you're just a man. You're a no-nonsense man. We don't have many of those left. So when you pulled, was it in Vegas, the Kenny Bostic Memorial, you know, where you famously grabbed someone by the chin while they were crying. So yeah, so someone like you that's been around the sport for so long, what were you thinking when that was going on? Are you just like, just send them out the back, let them kick the shit out of each other, or get off my table and don't arm wrestle again?
Well, get off the arm wrestle table, get out. There's a lot more to the story. I could really elaborate and say that I was the one. Actually, I knew he had some issues going on in that day because he was fired up, especially against Scott. And when I saw him up there arm wrestling, I saw him arguing, I knew something was going to break. So on behalf of Buck Hall and those guys, I thought, well, I'll head up that way just in case. Almost lost you. I'll keep my up. I knew I'd head up that way, and before I even got to the stage, he was going at it. Him and Scott were going at it.
Yeah.
Scott got some taps in there, man. And so he was talking highly of me throughout the day. So I thought, well, if I can get him to look at me, maybe it'll break him out of this temper tantrum, this drug-induced, whatever you want to call the spasm he was having.
Yeah.
And I reached up and I grabbed him. Now it looked pretty good.
Man, it was.
For now, making fun of it, so that's good.
Yeah, good. That's oh yeah, everyone knows there was a bit of history behind, but I was just interested in your mindset. Have you ever almost come to blows with anyone on the table over the years? Like, so you've pinned someone or someone's pinned you and got in your face. Have you almost just ready, you know, to pop some bubbles on someone?
I don't think nothing's ever come that close to going in the fights. I know me and Tom Nelson had words out, and I think it was Reno one time. It was when Tom was pretty cocky. That's when he had that one shirt pissing on Bath, Bajan, and Brzezinski, the 3 Bs. He came out there a little arrogant and stuff, and he was pulling pretty good. And I know we had some words and we were jacking around, but honestly, for me, no. I've never really had anything where I thought me and the guy across from me were going to blows. You know, but I pulled as long as ever, so I might have forgot one. But
yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah,
it's
you
a
would.
little contentious up there at times. We all know that. I know me and Travis have exchanged words, but it was nothing to that extent.
Oh, I think everyone's exchanged words with Travis. That's his gimmick. That's how he gets in your head. I could only imagine the amount of stuff you've forgotten, you know, that people will learn.
Yeah. Now, I know when I did with Neil, he kept asking me what I thought on it. Man, Neil, I've had so many stories. Just bring up some.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. So I'm going to bring up 14 various world titles. I mean, to even once to achieve a world championship in anything. Yep. What was the best one? What was the most satisfying world title?
Oh, world titles would have been when I went to England and I won 3 of them. That's definitely, I went and I pulled 4 classes. I pulled the two senior right and left, and I pulled the 2 masters right and left. And the way they run it, it's you run like your left senior, or your left and right of your masters, and then you have your seniors left, and then it's 3 days of arm wrestling in 4 days, like that. And I won the first 3. I won the 2 master classes right and left, and then I won the left, which I didn't think I would win. I wasn't all that high that I would win the seniors in the left, and I thought I would win the right seniors. Well, that was the last day, and so I won the first 3, and then when I got into the right seniors, I pulled Taurus my first match, and we come apart, and we slipped, we hit the straps, and basically I dominated him. I thought, that's it. I said, I should have all 4, but as the day went on, I'm not one to give up slips. I'm old school. You fight no matter what you fight.
Yeah.
And before long, my hand was getting fatigued. Then mentally, I was getting fatigued, and I ended up, I think I came in 5th. Taurus came all the way back through and took 1st. And the latest advice I got was at the end, Travis said, you should have slipped. Your arm was stronger than everybody, and I almost got mad at him for telling me so late. Because I wasn't thinking of that shit. I want to arm wrestle. I'm going to be bullheaded. But I think I had the opportunity had I been more observant of doing the slip, going out and getting into the straps. But that was probably pretty memorable because not too many can go in and win 3 worlds in 1 world championship.
Now, 3 world titles are impressive, Ron. But have you ever won a 3rd place 80 to 95 kilo left hand amateur trophy?
Well, I possibly would have, but we didn't have amateurs back in my day when I was learning, so maybe I would have. we got fed right into the big guys, right out of the box.
Mate, that's the only way to do it. At my training here in Melbourne, when I first went there was about 9 people there, and yeah, they would just tear my arms off, and I absolutely loved it. I think that's the only way to get into it. None of this baby shit that's going on. Absolutely, push people into the deep end of the bath. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But man, so many world titles to win 3 in a day. What do you do to celebrate? So you've just spent 4 days. Your arms are now spaghetti, but you've got 3 world titles in a weekend. How does Ron Barr celebrate world titles?
Go out and eat, go drink beer, do some sightseeing, and then fly back home.
Back to it, yeah.
Then you just relish the memories. Yep.
Yeah, it's a shame because then, because you were going around when Over the Top came out. That was unreal. First of all, why weren't you in the movie?
I wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, why?
Because they put me in. I was there when they filmed it. I went to that tournament and everything else, but we've watched because there's so much footage of arm wrestling.
Yeah. They
just stop, cut, and unless you're one of the extras in there or one of the bigger names that they were really following, it took a crapshoot, a luck of the draw to get your face in there. We looked through that movie all the time, and no, I didn't make the cut. Maybe I would have now.
Mate, I watched it again about 3 or 4 days ago. Like when you said that you'd come on the show, and it took me so long to watch it because I kept pausing every time someone was in the crowd, and I was like, I'm going to find him. You've got to have the best or the second best arm wrestler ever, and he's not even in the movie.
Yep, but not at that time. I wasn't at that time. I was just working my way up. That was actually the first year I really started on the pro level. Because the first 5 years I lived in Wisconsin, I didn't know really that it was all that competitive. I went to some, but I never really got absorbed until I moved here to Georgia. And then I ran into the likes of Burt Whitfield, Cleve Dean, Dave Randall, and all those guys. Then we started traveling, and it just so happened to be the same time they were starting to do the prelims for the Over the Top. So I went there. I think I went to 2 or 3 of them. I finally won the 3rd qualifier I went to. And that's where I first saw the likes of John Brzezinski. I'd have lost money back then seeing John. John didn't look He was the bad boy at, 22, 21, 20. John's always been bad. Me, I had to work my way up a little bit slower.
Man. So then, over the top comes, you're just starting. So then you'd be absolutely licking your lips going, we've just got arguably the biggest movie star at the time doing a movie about arm wrestling, which is the greatest movie of all time. People can fight me about it. Why didn't it arm wrestling explode after that? You were there right in the thick of it. Why didn't arm wrestling just go bang?
Arm wrestling, like always, it's never really gone bang. It goes up and then it goes down. It goes up. Every time they get somebody to help promote and sponsor it, it would seem like we're heading in that right direction. Like the over the top, we thought it would have exploded. Then it did for a little while. Then it quieted down. We didn't have the social media then either.
No.
Arm wrestling, even though it's been on ESPN or Wide World of Sports net since the 70s, it's been on and off ESPN with myself. I've been on I don't know how many times. You know, it gets some momentum and then it dies. We get big sponsors and then they realize they're not going to make no money and they die and they back up. Not until just recent when you got social media and you got the likes now, the social media stars of Armor, you know, Michael Todd, Devin Lorette, you know, even Trav. These guys are getting out there. They're getting their face on with arm wrestling and doing a lot of, you know, social media posts, which I'm not very savvy with, so. But I think it's always been an underground sport. Had we had social media or more of an internet where we could get it out, it probably would have been a lot bigger, a lot faster, because now we can watch, little local tournaments, and you in Australia can watch one of our local tournaments the next day. You know, people are chopping. We got several groups out there, you know, like Artem. He's always at all the local tournaments and some of the big ones in the States. He's always editing and putting out footage. And, back years ago, we had Roberts. He was out there doing it with Arm TV. Arm TV was pretty good until he backed off that for a little while. And now he's putting out some old stuff. I love seeing the old stuff, even though back then I was young. But I think his stuff's looking good because a lot of the newbies get to look back at it and see some of the guys from the 80s, 90s, stuff like that were good. And you don't really you don't even hear their names a whole lot, but when you start watching videos, then it all starts correlating a little bit. That the sport's been around a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Gary Roberts and Arm TV are just pulling out some absolute belters when he's reliving that old footage. And I tell everyone, when we have new guys and they're usually young at our club, their homework is always to watch Over the Top. That's their homework. They're not allowed to come back next week until they fucking watch Over the Top. But yeah, so what's it gonna take? What's it gonna take for arm wrestling to be mainstream? You know, so someone like yourself can make $200,000-$300,000 a year, like some of these other professional athletes. What's it gonna take?
You take an arm wrestler who has a lot of money. The problem with arm wrestling is there's not enough sales and marketing in it. And that's all it is. In pro sports, all pro sports, you got to have a great marketing scheme. And we don't have a whole lot to market. Will we ever make that kind of money? Maybe a couple guys can if they get on the social media stuff and utilize that. But right now, I don't see, as an athlete, us being able to totally live off arm wrestling to an elaborate level. You can live off arm wrestling and just barely make your ends meet if you got some good sponsors. And I'm sure it'll grow some, but I don't know if we'll have, maybe in a team aspect, if we had arm wrestling as a team aspect.
In the Olympics!
Yeah, the Olympics, heard talk. We had it in the Goodwill Games. The Goodwill Games were in 98 or 88, and we went there. We're an exhibition sport, and this is why the sport just always seems to go and down. We're an exhibition sport. We're involved with the closing ceremonies, everything else. We had a small little tournament and stuff like that, and it was a blast. I enjoyed it. And but then 4 years later, we should have did it again, but who was ever in charge just sort of put it under the bed, and nobody ever followed up on it after that. But the Goodwill Games would have been a good start, even though the Goodwill Games have dropped since then. And now he's our president.
I'm going to try and find some footage on that. That's unreal that that arm wrestling was in the Goodwill Games. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. Yeah, arm wrestling seems to just be just a bee stick away from exploding, and then something just happens to go wrong. Because like even you make an appearance in Pulling John, they do this whole documentary, in Hollywood about arm wrestling, and then nothing. Oh, you're frozen up there. Yeah, I'm just saying, like we're so close with they made a documentary Pulling John that you're in, and then it just once again goes to nothing.
Yeah. Now that was a pretty good time too, because Yvonne and Bessie got a lot of motivation when they were doing that, shooting all those videos and going around doing different interviews and stuff. They spent a couple of days with me throughout that. They originally had one aspect of taking it and following arm wrestlers. Well, then they realized how above everybody John was at the time. So then it just went into more or less concentrating on John.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I mean, it was what it is. But that was another one that was it pushed for a while. People got excited and motivated. And then shortly after it all came to a head, everybody just went back to their local tournaments, nationals, and then WOPs. But unless we can find a way to get big money into the sport, which would be like, and your pro sports have big time money owners. They have, and they're putting it in, and then they start selling products. We don't have a team aspect, and even NASCAR has a team aspect where they get big money to buy several cars. And I think we need something of that nature where somebody with great money tries to buy the best or pay the best 5 arm wrestlers, and then somebody else is over here and you start bidding for these guys to get them on your team, so your team can't. That would be about the only way it would actually get to a point where we could make money to just kick back and live the good life. But like my kids used to say, my dad's number 1 in the world. Unfortunately, it's in a sport that pays nothing.
Yeah. 100%. It's such an achievement to be a world champion. And then it's kind of like, that's cool, but I got to go to work on Monday. So, got to drop the kids off at school or something. It's so frustrating. But making money, Ron, I tried to do a bit of research, and I must say, mate, I'm a little bit disappointed. Why didn't you approach, seriously, a bath company and get your own bubble bath? World champion. It's a play on your name, Ron. I looked everywhere and I went, nah, Ron, yeah.
I should have went to marketing if I went to college, I should have went to marketing. I guess maybe I would have thought of that, but I never really, I wasn't into the marketing part of anything. I just love arm wrestling. I like doing it. I don't have any real goals when I've done it. If I see the Worlds are coming up, I'll go to try to win. Going to win those quarter was possibly the most motivated I ever was to go, and actually had a goal besides just winning. I wanted to see if I could win 4. You never want to go to a tournament and lose. You can say you're going for fun, but you're still trying to win.
Of course.
But I've never had anybody I scoped out ahead of me. I just always wanted to get better and just go compete. And that's why I really don't follow a whole lot. I just hang out with the team, and when I see a tournament, I take off, or somebody pays me to come pull at it, I just show up.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, going back to Pulling John. So obviously they show you pin Taurus in Pulling John. That's the only time you've competed at Zloty.
Yeah.
Why?
Like I said, it's just I'm a working man. It costs money. I never chase sponsors because, like I said, the biggest nemesis I have for my past is I never went out to pound sponsors.
Yeah.
I just mostly did it on my own. And, if you'd bring up arm wrestling to me, I would talk about it. Other than that, I just went to work. I showed up, went to practice, and I come home. I just wasn't a great marketing kind of guy. And now 40 years later, 30 years later, I'm like, maybe I should have pushed just a little bit harder. but And I never got to that pinnacle where guys, until just the last years, people would pay me to come and do their tournament as John. And John would fly because he just had confidence he would win. And I was always in John. So if I was going, I always had to assume I was going to take second or less.
Yeah.
Even though I'd always go to try to beat him, you're still in the shadow of John Baaaanng. I would go overseas once in a while, but I always assumed it had to be on my dollar. So that would always back me on.
Yeah. So then, another thing, mate, that you've missed out on making money because you're in the John Baaaanng golden era. Why didn't you just invest in silver? You won a lot of silver medals.
It's a good question. You're really making me start to wonder. I should have went to marketing.
Man. The problem was I wasn't born in 1922, so I couldn't have helped you with marketing, mate.
There you go.
No, but it's happening now. So what still motivates you? Because hopefully, if it still goes ahead, you're about to main event TAF, the Total Arm Wrestling Federation, with a Supermatch with Matt Mask. So what?
Yeah.
You've done anything and everything in the sport. What motivates you?
Just stuff like that. The tournament, the match with Matt's got some hurdles to cross. I'm not sure if Canada wants us in there yet. We're trying to work some stuff out on that. I hope it does. I'd love to get up there. So let's hope and pray that all breaks through and I can get up there. That's only in 3 weeks. The motivation for me has been up and down for 40 years. Actually, it'll be 40 years this November when I had my first tournament.
Wow.
So in the beginning, it was always the climb to get to the top. You didn't really want it. You just wanted to see how great you could get. But then when I got towards in my 40s, I was starting to think, man, I'm old. I'm getting old. I shouldn't be doing this. This is a kid's game and stuff like that. And as I told Neil the other night, when I got to about 50, or it might even been 50, all of a sudden, because I always stayed in shape. I had my, when I was 50, I had the bicep there, but I didn't have the pec yet. The pec was still healthy. But when I got to 50, people were like, I could see the amazement how good you can pull at a certain age. And then I saw there was other older arm wrestlers that were doing it. And for some reason, I got more motivated to just see, it's like, one morning I had an epiphany. It's like, as long as God gives me the ability to be able to do what I can do, why not go have fun with it? Just because somebody says you're getting a certain age doesn't mean you go lay on the couch and die. You might as well just go see where it takes you. So over the last years, I got more motivated. And then over the last couple of years, I got involved with somebody who's got me a little more motivated in other aspects. When you got support and somebody behind you cheering you on and stuff, it really helps a lot. But mostly what motivates me is just to stay in shape.
Yeah. You are in phenomenal shape.
Arm wrestling just a blessing for it. So, and I incorporate, with arm wrestling, when I do work out and stuff or do anything, I do try to simulate what I would do if I was arm wrestling. I always use dumbbells. I never use a straight bar really a whole lot. It hurts my wrist. So if I'm doing flies or anything or bench, it's always dumbbells, and I try to be strict with my wrist. Do a lot of stuff for my arms. And then I got a gift. My good friend Ike Ford, watch out, guys. Everybody needs a new toy.
Yeah.
I got my I got my Country Crush here. I got this weekend, a new toy. So now I'm even going to train harder.
Yes.
I got to have it donated to me because I got to. We've always had stuff like this. We've made our own tools. No matter how long you've arm wrestled, you make thicker handles, but stuff's getting a little more intriguing now with the different angles. So a new toy is always going to be fun to work out with.
Absolutely. I've got an order ready to go with Country Crush, but the gyms aren't open, so I got no equipment at home. So I've got a table, and that's about it. So then you take you on that mask. How's that going to pan out? What's the score?
Well, Matt, if I pull Matt, it's going to come down to the same thing as always. If I stop Matt, I'll beat him. It's how much training has he done as far as hit, how much, get ready to absorb a hit. If I was to guess, 3-1 me.
3-1. There it is. I would have said 3-0, but that's just me being a bit biased because Matt hasn't been on the show.
He's fast. He's got a good heavy hit. I got to take for granted he's going to catch me sleeping.
Oh.
So, and he does have the one thing. He's getting older and stronger. You know, he's at that age of, you know, he's still in his 30s. So he's always getting stronger. Me, I'm 58. I'm supposed to be getting weaker.
58. Wow. And you're breaking people's jaws and things like that. That's man, that's unreal. So then what does it take, like, because now the WAR series isn't going this year, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But what does it take to get Ron Barth on their show? Like, is it the opponent? Is it the dollars? Is it because it's nearby? What does it take to get Ron Barth to main event their show?
The main event wall or just somebody's show?
No, just someone's show like TAF. So you
It would have to be who they want me to pull, where it's at, and basically covering my expenses. Very few places will I go. If you got somebody you want me to arm wrestle, if I really enthralled with going there, I will. Otherwise, I might need some help. But if I know I'm going to be the main draw, it's going to pick up your participation of others. So I want a little help. Usually, if the sport's going to grow, you should be able to find sponsors that can help get big names into your tournament. And that should cover flight, hotel, some chump change, and a good time.
Yeah, nice. So then, has anyone called you like, "Hey Ron, it's the Aussie Arm Wrestler here. I want you to pull so and so," and have you ever just laughed at them and hung up? Like, has anyone tried to book you on their tournament or their super matches and you just laughed at them and not take the booking?
Only when they want me to pay for it all. There was one reason, and it was a great honor. He wanted me to come up with do a super match and ask who I wanted and ask what I needed. And I told him. He says, "Oh, I wasn't going to pay." I'm like, "Well, I got more matches throughout the year that I know of that people are going to pay me, so I just can't do them all." Otherwise, if you, like myself or John or Trav, you talk most of us guys, if we would just go to tournaments for free every time somebody asked, we'd be busy 50 weeks out of the year, and you just don't want to do it. So limit it. The ones who want you will pay for it. Yeah,
fair enough as well. Like, Jeff Frank's done a really good job on building a card, but now the legitimacy of it, of having you and Matt Mask in the main event, now everyone's taking a bit more notice to the cards that he's booking. So absolutely you deserve some dollars to be looked after.
Yeah. Nah, Jeff is treating me good. I make it up there. He's got some great bookings. Unfortunately, COVID's kicking the shit out of him.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the guy's got a great concept. He's got great motivation, but his timing and COVID they're clashing big time.
Yeah.
So I just hope he doesn't lose the motivation for when COVID disappears, he can get it. That booking he had that he was supposed to have, we were supposed to pull last weekend, I think, up there. Man, he had a card I don't think we've seen in ever. Of a plan card of people showing. Usually it's just great athletes show up for the trophy of the class money, not for super matches.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure.
If you get big name super matches, you're going to get draws.
Oh, absolutely. Because tournaments, they can go for like 24 hours. Like, the longest I've ever seen one was been a part of was our nationals last year in November, and we got there, at about 8:30 in the morning, and I think the finals didn't start till about 8 o'clock at night. Like, the tournaments are great, they just go forever.
They go forever. Big tournaments go way too long. Over the top, darn near took 24 hours.
Yeah.
It started, I think we were heading in there like 9 in the morning, and I think the final match went on about 7 in the morning, the following morning. But they kept cutting and taking breaks for video. Oh, that got utterly ridiculous how long that one went. But, it had a lot of expectations. But, yeah, a lot of your nationals and worlds, they can last a long time. And you you lose that mojo throughout the day.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. And then when you, it's funny because, there's 24 hours of footage and people competing. But then when you jump on YouTube, and if I go 2010 World Championships, the video goes for like 8 minutes. All the highlights and, here's all the right-hand matches. Bang, 8 minutes.
yeah.
Done. 24 hours just like that. Quickly going back to Over the Top, did you ever grip up with Sylvester Stallone? Did you ever get to meet him or anything?
No, I met him, and except it wasn't really a meeting. The place was so crowded.
Yeah.
And my wife at the time, she was 5'2", 5'3", and we're walking through the crowd, and people are bumping you, and she told me, she goes, who you just bumped into? You bumped into Stallone. I didn't even realize it. Because he's not a very tall man unless he has his boots and stuff on. But, you're trying to go through the crowd. So in a sense, I met him. We just didn't know we hit.
Yeah, but...
that was the closest I got to Sylvester.
Mate, you tell the kids you were just out and about one day and bumped into Sylvester Stallone. No biggie. That's just...
Yeah.
That's just
what... You know what? I can't believe he didn't want my autograph. I didn't want his either.
I'm off him. I'm off him now.
So if you're watching this, Sly, if you're watching this, hey, just send me a shirt and I'll sign it.
Yeah. He's a big fan of the show, Stallone. Absolutely he's a big fan of the show. And you've missed out there, Sly. You're in the gun now, Sylvester. First of all, change your first name. Get it a bit stronger. Sly, I can deal with. But send a shirt. Atlanta, Georgia. Head it over.
Yeah.
My man Ron will sign it for you.
Yeah, I'll sign it. That's it.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you didn't go with Ronald. I'm not going to lie. Like, you sound a lot more tougher being Ron Bath than Ronald Bath. That sounds like a very warm water bath.
My formal name is Ronald, but no, I go by Ron. Keep me at Ron.
I find it hilarious. Now, you weren't on the 500 series last year for WAL.
Yeah.
Are you going to be involved at all with WAL? Were you going to be involved in the 600 series?
No.
Do you want to be involved?
No, if I was, it would be a one-match deal. But no, I'm not. I'll promote the WAL. I'll support it. But what they're looking for and me aren't exactly what we're looking.
Yeah.
I just want to arm wrestle. I don't want to sign and go have to get permission. I'm having a good time just going off here, going off there, doing it. So I would love to pull a wall match, but it would be a one-match deal to sign. But that's not going to happen. They're looking for some a little more flair at the table. They're looking for charisma. They don't want some quiet old guy coming up in his, with his walker and just. I shouldn't say that. Todd Hutchings made me look bad.
Yeah, but you were injured. You got injured during that match.
There's a lot going on in that match we're not going to go into. Todd was definitely the better man, no matter what I would say. There was just a whole lot of stuff that went on throughout that day and going on in my life at that time.
Yeah.
And when I hit him and he didn't move, it really just set my mind into a bad place. And then that's when I got stupid.
Yeah.
And I started pulling like this. When I went in the first round, my shoulder got real tight because the guys were rubbing my arm, and I said, no, my shoulder. My shoulder up here got just knotted in round one. Well, the second match, I stayed farther apart. And then when it blew, I got in here, and he was holding me, and as I tell people, the best scenario I can give you is my smart Ron was telling my redneck Ron, don't do it. My redneck Ron said, here, hold my beer. I'm going in. I was almost arguing with myself that don't, you're wrong. Don't back up, take the loss. And I just, no, forget this. I'm coming in. And then it flew. So, yeah. Next time I got to listen to the smart Ron.
Yeah. I like Redneck Ron. I like him. He needs to come out more, Redneck Ron.
There you go. Somebody's got to always hold your beer and go. you won't live life at all if you just sit there and hold your own beer. You got to hand it to somebody once in a while.
Absolutely. Roll the sleeves up and go fucking bang. Absolutely. What a shame though. Like, cause I don't know if I'm old fashioned, but I still think you're a big draw, and I think the younger generation need to see you on WAL. They've got the biggest exposure at the moment. I think you need to be on their show for exhibition matches. You know, you don't have to compete for a hammer or anything, but you absolutely need to be on there.
I'll be their doorkeeper. If you beat Ron Bath, you're heading on up to the next level.
All right, Ron, on the show, I like to do a couple of games.
Just pay me some good money.
Mate, if I could afford it, I'd get you back over to Australia in a heartbeat. Absolutely. Right, I'd like to play a couple of games on the show. You know, lighten the mood a bit. We can get a bit serious at times. This first one, I call it, you got to pin one, you got to lose to one, and you got to get rid of one. So they can't arm wrestle in any tournaments in the next 5 years or something like that. They can't get rid of them. So I'm gonna give you 3 names.
Okay.
John Brezink, Johnny Walker, and Angie Rose.
You're trying to start something here. All right, what are the 3 answers again? Now you just blew my mind.
So you got to pin one, you got to lose to one, and you've got to tell one your arm wrestling career is done. And this is all 3 of them in their prime.
Well, I got to pin one. I'm going to pin John Brezink.
You got to pick.
If I'm going to tell one that your arm wrestling career's over, he's already there. That's Johnny Walker. I got too much respect for him.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose to Andrew Rose.
That's all right, mate.
Andrew Rose or Andrew Rose?
No, Angie Rose, mate. I'm not dumb. I would have said Cobra if I was talking about Andrew Rhodes. I would have said Cobra. Come on, mate. I've done my homework.
Yeah.
Smart man. Hey, I'm a married man, and every time my wife helps me out and just mucks around on the table with me, I do not pin her. I'm not dumb. She's 5'2", 50 kilos, and I'm petrified of her. She pins me every time. So I thought that's the way the answers were gonna go, but I thought I could just stump you there. No, that's fantastic, mate. And for a man that really loves his partner, it's awesome to see. Whenever Angie's name gets brought up, it brings a smile to your face. So that's the old school romantic in me, man. I just love it when people are happy. And yeah, so it's awesome when, you know, they bring the name up and yeah, you get a bit of a smile. And
That's a curveball. That's a curveball on that one.
Yeah. I'll apologise off camera. Sorry, Ron. Sorry, Ron. All right, these next ones, I've got 11 questions for you. They're quick fire questions. No thinking. First thing that comes to your mind.
Blue.
He's already been on the show. All righty. Tournaments or super matches?
For me, tournaments.
Tournaments. Old. You are old school. That's awesome. King's move. Yes or no?
No.
Woo-hoo! Do you hold a grudge with your parents because they made you born around the same time as John Brezink?
No.
What's your favorite company and your favorite country to pull in?
What was the first part of that?
The favorite company.
Favorite company?
Yeah, so like the Federation, Association, like Arm Wars, WAL, TAF, yeah.
Man, all of them.
Yeah, they've all looked after you?
Arm Wars, UAL.
Yeah, nice one. And favourite country?
Australia.
I love it when you lie.
Actually, I want to go back.
Nice. Well, hopefully next time you come, you book 2 tickets, because I would definitely be a fan if you brought someone else with you. I'm not going to lie. I think that's fantastic. Which loss? I mean, which loss hurts the most? Is there one that stands out? You're like, oh, I shouldn't have lost that.
Oh, damn! Don't do that. Everyone.
Yeah.
They all hurt.
Yeah, fair enough. You're a competitor. Do you prefer baths or showers?
Depends. By myself, shower.
Oh, I love it. Which one felt better? Pinning John Baaaanng for the first time or pinning Johnny Walker for the first time?
Oh, man. Well, I got a story with this one before we go to the next question.
Yeah.
Pinning John Baaaanng. The thing is, the first time I pinned John Walker, I still took second place because John Baaaanng was there. So I had to get revenge. Yeah, they both were big wins. But yeah, you gotta always go for the one that's trying to chase you. Or I was chasing him. He's younger, but I was chasing him. Johnny Walker was just an idol.
Ah, yeah. What? Like, I'll just pause on the questions for a moment. Like, John Baaaanng is spoken so highly of. You know, he was like the champion for 25 years and things like that. What's he like?
John?
Yeah.
Initially, I thought he was quiet and self-reserved, but the more you get to know John, he's just a great guy. He's fun to be with. You have a good time. He's more like myself, a little more on the quieter side.
Yeah.
That I know of. Yeah. So never had a real problem with him, except he always wanted to beat me before I beat him. But the last years we really we had more fun pulling each other than the beginning. The beginning we both wanted to win. And the last years, we probably took a few losses to each other.
Yeah.
While Zlati, I took a fall. I didn't even want to try to pull him because we knew it would be a war and just set us up for another loss. So that's what we had sort of planned. Other than that, just go for it. But John's a good guy. I don't know what more I can say.
When was the first time you pinned him?
It would have been, was that 95 Nationals in Atlanta?
Wow.
Was it in Atlanta? I believe it was in Atlanta. Yeah, it was in Atlanta.
Man, pinning John Baaaanng. Not many people can say that.
There again, it's a catch to that one too, because John is one. John will always when he's confident that he can beat you, he'll let you go to your strength and he'll see if he can beat you out of it. And he let me back then. I would shoulder roll, and he let me get way in deep, and it was just farther than he could. And the longer I held him, the more I'm going, damn, I ain't giving this shit up. But he came back and beat me easy the rest of the day. He still took first, but I got that one win. The one win, and this is why I say don't ever let somebody beat you if you don't think, because once they beat you, they know you're human.
Yeah, man. Not many people can say
win,
that.
That win took that little bit of an edge off where I knew John was beatable. You just had it's going to be a crapshoot when you might get it. So,
man, not many people can say they've pinned John Baaaanng, and you've done it quite a few times. So that's unbelievable. All right, let's get back to the questions. Who's the most awkward puller? Like, you might beat them, or they just give you difficulty. They've got a bad hand set up for you. Who's the most awkward puller?
Oh man, I don't think. Crazy George was nuts to pull with, but I don't pull him in a tournament. Probably Travis Bateman. He just wants to play with your hand all the time, mess with you. So it's not really awkward. He's just going to mess with you.
Yes. Do you have a pet named Bubble?
A pet named Bubble? No. and for your health, I hope nobody starts calling me that.
I have. I'm not going to lie. I got 2 more questions, but I'll pause. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
When I first started, moving to the comedy aspect of videos and just having a bit of fun with it, because I didn't realise it was going to explode like this, I did get a few private messages saying, "Man, I hope Ron doesn't mind you throwing out the bubble when you call his matches. He's not going to like it," and things like that. And I'm just like, oh, look, if Ron even knows my name, I'll take one on the chin for him. Ron can pass his beer to someone and put one on my chin.
You just buy me a beer when I get down there.
Oh man, you will. If next time you come to Australia and you're in Melbourne, you're not paying for a beer.
You owe me a beer for every time I'm called that name between now and when I get to Australia. That could be pretty expensive.
Babe, we've got to sell the house. I Ron a lot of money. I love you. So breaking news on the Aussie arm wrestler, he is now divorced. No.
Yeah, join the club.
2 more to go. Do you call the arms the bath plugs?
No.
And is your nickname the Thorn?
The Thorn? No.
Because every rose has got to have its thorn. That's all I'm just saying. He's left. Got him.
No, those are different nicknames.
I had to ask, mate. I don't think I could live with myself. Oh, I'm glad you found it funny. Alrighty, two more things before we wrap up, Ron. What I do at the end of every show is I get you to nominate someone to come on the show to see if we can get them on the show. So if you could nominate someone.
Who haven't you had on the show?
So far, I've had Ryan Bowen. I had Mike Aiello. I always shout out to Mike Aiello because technology stuffed up and the podcast didn't record. Tom Holland.
You have Matt Mass?
Sorry?
Matt Mass?
No, I haven't.
Have Matt. Seeing we're supposed to get Matt on here.
Yes.
He needs a good laugh. Yep.
Beautiful. And my catchphrase is ready, bang! So I need your best impression of it.
Ready, bang!
Yes!
Really, I do that better with an arm wrestling table in front of me so I could slap it. Boom!
Yes!
I did that one time, and Karen Bean threatened me because she thought I was going to break her table.
You probably could with your tendons that are built like railway iron, I can only imagine. Ron, it has been an absolute pleasure to be able to speak to an arm wrestling living legend, an idol of mine. Mate, I'm so appreciative of you just coming on the show, helping me out. I cannot thank you enough, Ron, and I'm sure everyone that watches the podcast appreciates it too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. I mean, let's do it again sometime.
Oh.
When you run out of nominations, give me a call. You can put Angie on here too.
Yes, got that on film. I'll send that to her as well. Guys, if you can, Ron's not much of a social media, but if you're a booker and you're going to book some super matches or some tournaments and you want Ron on there, just pay the man what he's due. He's a living legend, 40 years in the sport. Give the man the money he deserves and then put a little bit extra on top of that. Give him some tax because he absolutely deserves it. Ron, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure again. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, you absolute legends. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell all your mates, and ready, bang!